Hi, I'm Carla Brown. While this is a little bit different than practicing in front of a mirror, I'll say this is a great, great crowd. Thank you for being here. It is an honor to be chair of the Key Board and of the Key School. A special thanks to the Richardson family. I know your dad would be so pleased and proud to have you all here. Thank you for your support. Thank you. To Carrie and the Key School staff, I agree with Phoebe. You all are the bomb.com. Yes. Thank you for moving the vision forward for Key School, for all of Tarrant County. And of course, none of us would be here today without Mrs. Key. Mrs. Key, thank you for being just the early pioneer in Fort Worth for all of us with dyslexia. All of us that were lucky enough to go to your school would not be the same without you. Okay, well today I'm going to visit with you all about the stereotypes and stigmas of dyslexia. It is a topic I know very well. I started experiencing these stigmas as far back as the first grade. I was sitting on the front row of my first grade classroom with my hair in a ponytail like it is today, just excited and ready to learn. Well, on this particular day, we were doing an oral reading activity. Each student individually was just reading one at a time, a little short paragraph. Well, I was sitting up straight and ready for my turn, and the teacher called on me. And I looked down at the first word of the sentence, and I had no idea what it said. It looked like somebody had just thrown a jigsaw puzzle out on my page. I couldn't put those letters together. So I sat there quietly, kind of tears welling up in my eyes, and just frustrated and embarrassed. It seemed like everybody else had read so easily. Well, the teacher said, "Carla, you need to keep up with the rest of the classroom." And before I knew what was happening, she had moved on to the next person, and I had missed my turn. Well, if things like that would have only happened to me once in my life, it really wouldn't be that big a deal. But I had experiences like this happen over and over again, all throughout my academic career. To make things a little bit harder, my sister always made straight A's. And so did my friends. They were always on the high honor roll. And I thought, well, how are they doing this? It seems so natural to them and so difficult for me. And I was embarrassed constantly at school. Well, no matter how hard we tried, no matter how hard, I say we because my family had to try with me. We would do drills and drills and drills at night. But no matter how much time we put into all of this, I went to school and was just an average student. And I so desperately wanted to be more than average. And then in the fourth grade, I saw a teacher that understood a little bit about what was going on. And so in the fourth grade is when I was diagnosed with dyslexia. And it was such a relief. It was such a relief to learn that my brain just functioned differently than most people, but that I was okay. And it really just let me take a breath. I can remember that even in the fourth grade. So that's when I began the Key School summer program. I took math, I took reading, I took study skills. My mom signed me up for anything that they had to offer. And I was also matched, Mrs. Key matched me with academic language therapists and with tutors that I saw really 5th through 12th grade year. I didn't know this then, but what I know now is that I was learning, well, they were really teaching me how to break the English language down into little teeny parts. I was learning how to blend sounds together, the Greek and Latin roots that Jane was talking about. And really, all of these things just helped me to read easier, spell better, and to process my thoughts a whole lot easier. And I was developing academic confidence. So by the end of the 12th grade, I had really gotten enough tools to go to college. And that is how I ended up at Harvard. Well, not really. Let me explain. You see, I made a 670 on the SAT. That's pretty low, isn't it? In fact, I bet you've never heard of a score so low. Because that was for reading and math combined. In fact, my children like to say that you get 300 points for bubbling your name in correctly. And I tell them I probably didn't bubble my name in correctly. But you see, multiple choice tests are really hard for those of us with dyslexia. We love to look at the big picture. That's one of our gifts, is to look at the big picture. Well, despite my SAT score, I was able to go to the University of Texas, and no, my dad did not get me in. I was able to go on my own merit. I majored in communications, and then I received my master's from the University of Colorado in counseling psychology. After that, I moved to Washington, D.C., and wrote curriculum for children on violence prevention and conflict resolution. And that's how I ended up in Cambridge, Massachusetts, working for an education think tank that was closely related to Harvard. Well, I mean, that's the truth. But I hear some chuckles, and really that's how I felt, because when I went in the first day, I thought, well, how did I get myself here? Most of my coworkers were interns from Harvard or had graduated from Harvard, but I quickly was able to see that I could talk with these people on their level and work with them on their level. In fact, within the first couple of months of being there, I had completely revamped the way this think tank was marketing their curriculum. And what was so obvious to me was really foreign to them. And I began to see, well, maybe I'm not just average because of my dyslexia. Maybe I do have a gift to share with others. And I began to break down that whole stereotype and stigma that I was carrying around with myself. That SAT score didn't define me, just as dyslexia didn't define me. It is part of who I am, part of what most children are at Key School. But it is not who we are. Well, I was diagnosed at 10. My son was so very, very lucky. He was diagnosed with dyslexia when he was just 5 years old. And after meeting with the diagnostician, after he was diagnosed and I met with the diagnostician, she said, my son's name is Cormac. She said, Cormac has such severe dyslexia that he will never, ever read for pleasure. Well, of course, when I got that news, we connected him quickly with Mrs. Key, and she connected him with academic language therapists and tutors. And in just 3 years' time, after working with these Key School people, he not only won the Reading Award in his public school made up of hundreds of kids for the most books read, but for the best reading comprehension. Cormac is the perfect example of why early intervention and diagnosis is so important for children with dyslexia. Today, there are scientific methods like MRIs and other diagnostic tools that help us understand dyslexia. We know how the brain works in a dyslexic, and we know how to turn children like myself and like my son into readers. As I wrap up today, please know that 1 out of every 5 children in the United States has dyslexia. And as Carrie said, only 1 in 3 third graders are reading on grade level. We don't have the resources in Tarrant County to meet the needs of all of these people. That is why we are here and what we are fighting for every day. We must educate the community on the critical importance of early diagnosis. We must train our educators how to teach children with dyslexia because they're in every classroom. And as parents, we must advocate better for our children because our voices are the voices that hold the most power to rewrite the narrative. The community needs to see the human side of dyslexia. They need to see me, a lifelong dyslexic learner. They need to see you, all of our advocates. And they need to see that ponytail girl that is sitting on the front row of every classroom. We don't have all the answers. And let me say that again. At Key School and the Key Center, we don't have all the answers. But we are asking the right questions and partnering with the right organizations to move dyslexia forward in Tarrant County. That is why it is our time to stand together with Key School and the new Key Center on the John N. Richardson campus. I am so grateful to be here and truly celebrate dyslexia with you. Thank you for helping us prove that the stereotypes and stigmas around dyslexia are wrong. And thank you for saying to all of our children, you do have a gift, and you are anything but average. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, I'd like to welcome my little brother, Johnny Brumley, to the stage. He is not going to say a long speech. Don't worry. He's going to wrap things up for us. Thank you, Johnny.
All right, thank you.